Today, we're going to talk about why it's so hard to focus with ADHD. I'm going to share 3 strategies to help you focus on what matters most, including one that's probably the opposite of what you've been trying to do. I'm Jesse J. Anderson, author of the book Extra Focus, the quick start guide to adult ADHD. Before we get started, make sure to grab my free ADHD strategy guide, which is down in the comments. Now, I want you to imagine you're working in a coffee shop. You've got your laptop, your setup, you're working away on some project, and all of a sudden, a friend of yours walks in. You catch eyes, and she comes over to start chatting, and you're having a great conversation, catching up, talking about the things that have happened recently. Everything's going well. All of a sudden, you start to notice some other things that are happening in the coffee shop. You notice a kid that's just bumped his head on the table. He's kind of looking around to decide whether or not he should cry yet. You overhear the baristas talking about how one of them got a speeding ticket that morning. They're trying to decide whether they're going to fight it or not. And you look over and see the couple in the corner, and you're kind of wondering, are they breaking up? There's something going on there. You notice a brick wall that's got this really interesting character to it. You're starting to wonder, is that a real brick wall or is that a fake one? You know, a brick wall would be pretty cool in my office. That would be a really cool vibe. Even if you could do a fake one, you're not sure. All of a sudden you snap out of it and you realize your friend is staring at you and they are no longer talking. What happened? You were enjoying that conversation. You care about this friend. You were having a great time chatting, but all of these other things just kept intruding on your focus, really breaking your concentration and not allowing you to stay focused where you meant to be focused. It's not a sign that you don't care. It's the reality of something that happens when you have ADHD. The thing is, our brains are taking in immense amounts of data all the time. All of our senses are firing. There's all the visual things we're seeing, stuff that we're hearing, all the little conversations happening around us. You're feeling the keys of your laptop under your finger or the cold breeze as someone walks in the door. You have got that taste still of the coffee you just took a sip of. You're smelling all the aromas in the coffee shop. All of that is firing all the time, and your brain is trying to figure out what is the most important. It's looking for importance and it's looking for danger. And those are kind of the key things it's trying to figure out. I like to think of your brain as having an attention assistant, someone that's collecting all of this data and then sorting it, figuring out what is the most important, putting that at top, and just kind of getting rid of the rest, getting rid of the noise that doesn't really matter. You see, the problem is when you have ADHD, this attention assistant, they are not good at what they're doing. They just dump everything on the desk and basically say, hey, good luck. And that's often what it feels like. You feel like you don't have control. You don't know what's important. You lose track of what the most important thing is. And so the things that are more interesting or exciting really quickly pull your attention. You've got all this stuff piled on your desk, and the bright, shiny thing is what you're drawn to. And so when the kid bumps his head, you're drawn to that. When you notice this drama over here, you're drawn to that. There's all these things that are pulling your attention away from the thing that you actually really do care about and intend to focus on, like your friend in that conversation. So what do we do about it? Well, before we get into the strategies, I just want to say one thing about grace and self-compassion. This is a reality of how our brain works. We are going to struggle with some of these attention and these focus challenges. We're in a neurotypical world built by neurotypical standards, and the ADHD brain often just doesn't fit in. And because of that, you've probably experienced a lot of lack of compassion and understanding from other people. People that misunderstand and think that you don't care or that you weren't even trying to pay attention, which isn't the case. We're trying really hard. Our brain just has these differences in how it functions. So we need to really basically advocate for ourselves and show ourselves grace and compassion, knowing that, hey, we're going to struggle even with these strategies, which are going to help. It's not going to solve the problem. And we need to go in understanding that and being graceful and accepting of ourselves and what works with our brain. Just because people around us drag us down doesn't mean we need to do the same. We need to be that positive voice, that positive soundtrack for our own brain. So you're saying, cool, Jesse, but now what do I actually do about it? How do I pay attention to my friend? How do I stay focused on those things that really do matter to me? Well, here are 3 strategies that I think are really going to help. The first is use external filters. When our internal filters are struggling, we need to compensate it with external filters. doing something to block all of the external data from coming in and flooding our brain where we don't know what to focus on. So we can take small steps, maybe just closing the laptop. That's one less input that's possibly going to be distracting in that conversation. Maybe even just turning away so you can see less of the stuff. That's removing a lot of those inputs from flooding all that data. You can even ask your friend, hey, could we step outside? Maybe outside is going to be a little bit less distracting than all of the people that are doing things inside of the coffee shop. And when you're at home or the office trying to focus on a specific task or project, electronic devices can often be huge distractions. There was a 2017 study that showed having your phone just in the same room with you, even if it's not on, you're not touching it, it's just in the room, that reduces your cognitive capacity. So get rid of the phone if you can, depending on the task. A lot of the time, I'll grab a physical notebook and a pen to work on something if I'm brainstorming or trying to work something out. Even if it's something that naturally makes sense to do on a laptop, if I can do it on paper instead, I'm gonna try to do that because it's going to eliminate a lot of those potential distractions. Remember, I'm trying to put up external filters. I'm trying to block other things from jumping and distracting me. So if I'm not at the laptop, that removes a lot of those potential distractions. It's a lot easier to stay focused when all you've got is a pen and a notebook. The second strategy is add guiding bumpers. When you went bowling as a kid, sometimes it would put bumpers in the gutters that would make it so that when your ball went off course, it would hit the bumper and get redirected back towards the middle, obviously increasing your chances of hitting the most pins or hitting any pins at the end of the lane. Otherwise, it would go straight in the gutter and you would be completely lost. That's the principle here, is we want to add bumpers that are going to help redirect our focus back towards what our intention is, what we're trying to focus on and trying to get done. So what does this look like? Back in the coffee shop scenario, depending on your relationship with the friend, maybe you just reach out and grab their hand. And now you have that one of your inputs is touch, and that touch input is reminding you of what you want to be focused on. When you're working on a specific task, maybe putting a sticky note on your monitor, something you can see and visually remind you of, like, what is my goal right now? What am I trying to do? Oh yeah, there's the sticky note, there's the whiteboard, there's the index card where I wrote down what I'm trying to do right now. And seeing that will remind you what you're focused on. A lot of the time I'll use a visual timer, like the time timer, where you can see time counting down, which is also helpful when you have ADHD, but also helps with being a reminder of, oh, this is intentional time. It's a bumper to where when I see that, it's like, oh, that's right, I'm focused on this right now. It re-guides me toward what I'm trying to accomplish. A few other bumpers might be website blockers, where when you visit a common website like social media, there pops up a message that says, hey, you can't access this right now. You intended to do something else. And that becomes a bumper to re-guide you back to where you're going. A lot of the time I'll use specific music albums that are my focus albums. So as I'm hearing that music, it's sort of this constant data coming in of, like, we're in focus mode. This is focus mode right now. You could even have like a special pair of shoes that you wear when you're doing your writing or something like that. All of these things matter when they add up to help you stay focused. You're trying to put up the external filters to block out the distractions and put up these bumpers to remind you what you're actually intending to do. And the third strategy is don't be efficient. Now, this might sound counterintuitive. People with ADHD, myself included, often are trying to make things more efficient because we've had a lifetime, years and years of trying to get stuff done, always feeling behind because we got distracted or whatever the case might be. And so we're trying to make up for this lost time by being more efficient. We just think if I could build the perfect system or the perfect automation, or I could optimize this to the point where now it's going to be easy. But the reality is we end up building these great systems and then not using them because that's not what is actually effective. I've spent so many weekends building productivity systems, trying to multitask my way into getting more stuff done. And what I end up with at the end of it is nothing is done. I've used up all the excitement in building this system, and now I have a system I don't want to use and a bunch of tasks that haven't been touched, or worse, are half started and then abandoned, and I don't know how to even engage with them anymore. So the real strategy here is to stop trying to be efficient. Stop trying to solve with multitasking by doing more. Instead, focus on the one thing. What is that one important thing that is the focus for right now and get that done. Don't distract yourself by thinking and overthinking about how you could optimize, how you could make this better, how you could be more efficient. That efficiency is a trap, and it itself is a big distraction. Don't forget to grab my free ADHD strategy guide listed in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about working with your ADHD, and leave a comment with anything you'd love me to cover, or if you just want to share your favorite strategy for staying focused when you have ADHD. If you want to learn more about ADHD, I've got this great video on toxic productivity, which is one of those constant traps people with ADHD get stuck in. I know all too well. And remember, you aren't broken, just different. So be different.